Manchester United were already looking at signing a big-name midfielder this summer before Casemiro confirmed his decision to leave the club. The five-time Champions League winner will not stay at Old Trafford beyond the end of his contract in June. Sign up for the Man United newsletter. Thank you. Manchester United have plenty of options to replace midfielder Casemiro in the summer credit, Alamy. Despite ups and downs in his form, the Brazilian will leave a gap at Old Trafford. United's search for a replacement was ongoing last year after Ruben Amorim's struggles to balance his side. Although Michael Carrick has offset that by returning Bruno Fernandes to a more natural number 10 position and bringing Kobbie Mainoo back from the cold, Casemiro will still leave a hole. The importance of strengthening United's spine, regardless of who the new permanent manager ends up being, is lost on nobody. United will likely also need to upgrade and restock at the back, but given Manuel Ugarte's struggles over 18 months in England, the middle of the pitch is the first place to focus. Read more on football. And there are no shortage of options on the market. United were keen to add Brighton's Carlos Baleba last summer and have held an interest in Nottingham Forest star Elliot Anderson for a while as well. Adam Wharton is another to consider as he looks for a step up from Crystal Palace. The latest player to be linked is Sandro Tonali. Most read in football. Sandro Tonali is the latest player to be linked. Credit, Shutterstock editorial. Carlos Baleba was a main target last summer. Credit, Alamy. Best free bets and betting sign-up offers. Newcastle's £55 million man was offered to Arsenal on deadline day of the January transfer window. He is thought to be growing restless in the northeast, with Newcastle increasingly unlikely to get back into the Champions League next season. With that in mind, who is the best player available for United? And how do they compare with each other in Casemiro and Mainoo? Kobbie Mainoo. For the purposes of showing what these players can do at their best, we have analyzed data from across recent seasons. Mainoo, for example, has hardly featured properly this term or last, but his breakthrough in 2023-24 was a better representation of what he is all about. His stat card, below, is for that season, whilst Baleba's is for 2024-25. Everyone else's is for this year. Casemiro is arguably having his best season at United. It is either that or 2022-23, whilst Tonali and Baleba have both dipped from last season. But their previous performances have been noted and referred to. On Mainoo specifically, he is less of a destroyer or box crasher, shown by having the second lowest tackles won per 90, above only Tonali, and more of a link man. He is the fluid, press evader on the ball, whereas Casemiro relies more on shorter passing in triangles. With his place in the side now solidified again, it would be a surprise if United moved on from their academy graduate. He could easily take the spot of Ugarte in the squad, whilst a direct replacement for Casemiro is sought. Mainoo is not a Casemiro replacement but would be a good foil for many of those United are looking at. Kobbie Mainoo is a link man from deep, and can evade a press better than most. Sandro Tonali. Onto the new players, and Tonali is the most established. He is the oldest of the lot and had an impressive record at AC Milan before joining Newcastle in 2023. Compared to Casemiro, he has more ways to progress the ball via dribbles but is nowhere near as much of a threat in the final third. He is more of a combination of Casemiro and Mainoo when it comes to passing and tends to hunt in packs to win the ball back. Tonali is not as strong when it comes to tackling and often works in a midfield three under Eddie Howe, something United tend to stay away from with a preferred double pivot. Getting him from a top 4-5 rival will not be easy or cheap, either. Sandro Tonali works well in a midfield three. Elliot Anderson. Thomas Tuchel's England favourite is more adept at playing in a 2 and has done so in back fives or the more standard 4-2-3-1. Anderson operates deeper than others but still gets the ball forward well. He is industrious off the ball, making more tackles per 90 than anyone else on this list, and by a distance as well. In fact, only Baliba gets more interceptions, but part of Anderson's effectiveness must be caveated by saying he plays for the team with the least possession, allowing him that chance. The 23-year-old also commits fouls more regularly than anyone but Casemiro here. As a mobile figure in midfield, Anderson can set up attacks in transition after winning the ball himself, which would suit United. Should Forest go down, then United will be in the mix to get him at a cut price, and it's easy to see why. Elliot Anderson excels in progressing the ball with dribbling and has impressive off-ball numbers. Adam Wharton. From one Englishman to another, Wharton is a much less directly dangerous player but is the most adventurous with his passing. The Crystal Palace man specialises at punching balls through the lines and into teammates, allowing them to exploit space. He is not bothered by scoring, or assisting for that matter, but it is definitely a part of his game that can improve and probably would with better attackers in front of him. As another rangy midfielder, Wharton can eat up ground and is used to playing in a pivot. He has a similar profile to Anderson but with more progressive play through passing than dribbling. Anderson, as mentioned, is also more active when defending. Wharton is perhaps the most direct passer here, averaging 8.4 progressive passes per 90 and 0.69 through balls as well. He doesn't carry much in terms of threat to the opposition goal, but that hasn't been his job. The risk-reward with Wharton is his eye to spot a gap, making him prone to turnovers. Adam Wharton is the most daring passer of the lot. Carlos Baliba. 2 months ago, Baliba was arguably in front of all of these guys. He was the next £100 million midfielder with quality to shout about and an all-round game worthy of making him the heir to Moises Caicedo. But ever since his failed move to United, things have gone downhill. Brighton have been extremely inconsistent. He has been unable to hit the same heights as in 2024-25, and then there was the African Cup of Nations. But look below the surface at last season and he is possibly the most attractive option. With huge progressive carrying, ball winning, and passing accuracy, Baliba combines short play of Anderson from this year with Mainoo's mouse-like ability to get away from a press. He is not as forward-thinking through the thirds as Wharton, but does have a mean switch of play in him and a range of passing to his game that stands out. If United could get Baleba to his best, then they would have a player able to do it all. Baleba really is the jack of all trades from the group. Baleba has had a down year at Brighton, but his 2024-25 season stands out. João Gomes, and an additional name to throw into the hat is one of Wolves' many Gomeses. He is far too good to be in the Championship, so will almost certainly leave in the next window, but where to? The 24-year-old is another dribbly midfielder and doesn't offer loads with forward passing. But like Anderson, the caveat of playing in a dreadful team must be applied. Compared to Wharton, he is miles off on playing forward, although he has hardly had anyone to find at Molineux, but is much safer. He has higher tackling and ball-winning data and might be another to consider on a relegation deal. Recommended stories. Gomes is much closer to an Anderson profile but still lacks on doing anything of note in possession. João Gomes is almost certain to be relegated with Wolves. Comments.